Actually live on a little thing called Locals, which I'm excited to welcome our audience there as well. So we are live on Locals and we are live on YouTube, our YouTube channel, and we are live over in our Facebook group for Grace Filled and Graceful. So welcome everybody. It's Jennifer and I'm here today to do live podcast number 4. I sure do hope that my microphone is on. Let me double check this here. Got it? I don't know what that means. All right. The joys of being live. Okay, so I am going on YouTube as well as on Facebook. I'm using a program that streams me into both of those. And what I need you to do, if you would like to participate, if you have questions or comments or anything that you'd like to contribute to our conversation today, you can just type it in the comment section and it will pop up on my side. I will see it. However, you need to click the little link above this video that says Jennifer is using StreamYard, and you need to okay that it talks to Facebook so that I know what your name is. I'll see what you say and I'll answer you, but I won't know who you are unless you go ahead and click that link. And if you're over on Locals, then you don't have to worry about it. I think it'll just pop up by itself. So I will get all of these things going here. I have my notes, and so I'll go through and check for comments just so I don't miss anything, but it won't be up constantly because then I'll be distracted from my notes. But welcome. I have some fun things to go through with you for the podcast. I just got to find them without my glasses on. So I've learned that if I have my glasses on, there's a glare. There's a glare from the lighting. And I don't want that to happen because that's distracting. Good night. Now I can't find my notes. But there comes a time where glasses have to go on, and I'm trying to do things without the glasses currently, including finding where my notes are. Here they are. I found them. So today you're not getting the beautiful welcome to the podcast. Welcome, the intro. That would be a good thing for me to get together to do on the live broadcast as well. Just have an official opening, but that will probably happen next week because we're all learning, we're all growing, right? But to start off today, I wanted to hit some quick announcements and then we'll get into, it's funny, last week we talked on the podcast about niche and how to find your niche and how to really niche down and the benefits of niching. Uh-oh, the cat wants to come in. Live. This is what you get live. The cat wants to come in. I have to close the door because the dog's barking. All kinds of fun stuff. So today is going to be a really great exercise in you growing your business and showing up. Even if you don't feel 100% on it, anything can make you feel not 100% on anything. You have a bad night's sleep. You ate something bad yesterday. Anything. We had some kids having an emotional we had the 2 kids both having some emotional stuff happening last evening. And so that kind of threw everything in a tailspin. And so I'm not 100%, like, when you're 100% on, like you're on it. That is not happening today, but I want to be an example of showing up even when you don't feel like what you're doing is perfect. Because that word can get so tricky. That's like a whole book a whole volume of books can be written on this, right? But I wanted just to show up because I learned a great, I don't know if it's a quote, a maxim. Is that a word? Maxium? I'm having the word issues again. I need to have a shirt made that says, what's the word? And I'm not going to guess what the letter starts with this week compared to what I did last week. But the idea that finished is better than perfect any day. If what you're feeling in wanting it to be just so is keeping you from actually taking action, that's when problems set in, right? So today we're going to have a great time. You're going to get to laugh at all my silliness of all, all of my not perfectness, because I want to show you that done is better than perfect. And it's not like I'm completely unprepared for this. I have my notes and we're going to have a great time. And who knows what I'm actually going to say. So it looks as if Thursdays at 10 o'clock is a great time to go live. So that's what I have in my calendar. You can put it in your calendar to go forward live. And for right now, live is on YouTube, our YouTube channel, as well as on locals. And I'll be telling you more about that in a minute, or maybe at the end. I have it in my notes. I'm going to tell you now. Okay, so I have been looking for a platform to host some extra special content, and I didn't know if I wanted to go with a blog platform or how exactly I wanted to host it. And so in looking at all of these things, I wanted to be willing to jump into some new swimming pools to help you guys, so that you wouldn't have to jump into the swimming pools, saving you some time and energy, basically. So I was looking around, and there's some great platforms out there. But some of the platforms incur costs for the creator. And although they're small, there's a small amount of course, a small amount of, it's just a small fee. We looked around some more and we found something called Locals. And so what Locals appears to be, now that I'm using it, is it's similar to a Facebook feed. So there's a feed, and you can follow different people on the platform. And some of the content that your favorite people on the platform offer is free, just like Facebook. The cool thing is that there are no advertising. There's no advertising as far as I know. So there's nothing that's going to be trying to sell to you and getting, like, sometimes you can't control what pops up. I mean, you can tell it after it pops up that you don't want to see that again, but you don't have any control of what pops up, which can be annoying and distracting. Would you not agree? So the platform offers me to post things just like I would for Facebook. It's more like Facebook than it is Instagram. And so a lot of people are really familiar with that platform and what it looks like. So you follow certain people, whoever it is that you want to follow that's on there, and then you have the opportunity to go in a little bit deeper with me. And so you can check out the stuff that I have on there for free, which is probably going to be similar to what's on Facebook now. But then there's also some other options where you can spend some more time with me. You can spend more in depth. You have here some more in-depth conversations, some more in-depth ideas, some more in-depth training. And that is up to you if you want to participate in that. But there's a small monthly membership for that. And so it's called locals.com. And I'm going to be putting my details, my contact information on the link under the podcast, so that you have the opportunity at least to check it out and see if it's going to serve you well. But I would love to have you part of that community. There's only so much time that you can sit and watch a YouTube video or, scroll through social media. It's just not a good use of your time. And so if you want like a power pack, it's almost like, do you remember? Okay. 1980s, I was growing up, and there was this game called Pac-Man. I think everybody knows Pac-Man. But we had the original version. And Pac-Man would be going on about his day trying to run away from ghosts, but every so often he would eat a power pellet. So that's what this locals thing is allowing me to do, to give you a power pellet if you want one. I want to be out there and serving you and supporting you as you're walking through this journey of growing your online business in a way that feels great to your soul. But if you need a power pellet, that option is there for you. So that's what that is. And underneath the video, you're going to be able to see that address. So there's that. The next thing is I was going through, I have an iPhone. And some people do and some people don't. But on the iPhone, and if you don't have an iPhone, I would love to know how your podcasts work. on the iPhone, when you hit the podcast button, which is the little purple button, can you see that? There's the purple button. You hit the little purple button, and then you,
do you want to be
sorry.
our PR agent?
Where is it? Is this it? I'm showing you basically how to follow and how to share, because I didn't know this. I was looking for like a follow button, and I couldn't find a follow button. Okay, so I'm going to pull up just something on my iPhone in the podcast. Pulling up some really gross stuff. Oh, over my dead body. Okay, seed cast. Maybe this is learning how to plant seeds. Okay, anyways, I pick that, and then at the top, it's like a tiny plus sign. That's what you hit to follow. And then once you're following it, then you get a check mark. Okay, so the benefits of following for you is that whenever there's a new episode, which is currently once a week, it's gonna populate it. It's gonna be like, hey, here's the new episode. How it helps me is to see how many people I am impacting enough that they care enough about what I'm teaching and how I'm supporting them to follow. Okay, so follows are important. The other thing is, if you're listening and you're like, oh, this girl gets it. Like, I can kind of vibe with her. Like, she's real. She's an introvert. She loves business. She's kind of goofy at times. Like, I have a friend who would really love this. Okay, so what you want to do for that is you want to click the 3 little buttons up here. There's a name for that, and I don't know exactly what it is. There's three little dots. It's kind of like the ampersand, like dot dot dot. There's more, like follow that. So if you click that, then you have the opportunity to share a show. And so you can click on that and you can text it to somebody, email it to somebody. But we would love to welcome both you and them with open arms here on the podcast. So I think I'm almost done. Yeah, I think I'm done with my announcements. Last week, remember, we talked about niche and the idea of narrowing things down to make your sales process go more smoothly and get less rejection. Remember last week I had a hard time remember the word rejection. It's planted in good soil now in that brain. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I should have talked about such and such first, which would be excavating your strengths. Now, at the end of the podcast, I'm going to tell you about something that I am putting together, because I've gone through the process that I'm going to kind of go through with you today. I've gone through that myself many times and came up with kind of my, like a signature thing that I do, signature experience, offer. I don't know what you'd call it. In fact, I need a name for it, but I'm going to tell you about that at the end so that you can really just process and listen to what I'm going to go through so that you can do this exercise for yourself. Okay, so before we do this, we're going to be excavating some strengths, and I'm going to put my glasses on and try not to do that. Okay, if I keep my head down, that's good. Okay, so first, what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you, when you're thinking about building an online brand, the first thing that happens is your brain searches for, what do I know of that I can relate this to? So you've seen other online brands. You've seen Marie Forleo, or you've seen anybody that has a brand online. Kim Kardashian. You've seen anybody that has a brand online. I'm talking about a personal brand, not like Hasbro toys. I don't even know if they're still open anymore. Target. I'm not talking about Target. I'm talking about somebody, a person who is online and works with people that way based on products that they've developed. the first thing that you think of probably is the stuff that you're consuming. So you're consuming from a website, or you're consuming their social media, or um, the look that they have all about them, right? And we can get so caught up in the color scheme and the fonts and like the brand that would be what people see when they see, which is important, but it's less important than actually getting your information to them. Okay. And so I want you to take that bundle of stuff that is the visual experience that a lot of people see when they are following or watching their favorite person online. And I want you to kind of put it in a box and just set it aside. And you're going to say, I'm going to get to that later. That's not the most important thing right now. The most important thing, probably in your heart too, is positively affecting people, teaching them something that you think is that you know through life experience is really important, or sharing a skill, or helping them to stop a pain that they're having, helping to stop their frustration. Uh, and that's ultimately kind of where I started my process through, is just being so, I just feeling stuck for so long and feeling so frustrated for so long, that started a whole new thought process. So I wanted just to give you permission to set all of that aside: branding, websites, software, like people helping you in the office, like assistant, like put that aside. We're going to sit here human to human and just focus on like the nitty gritty, the bare necessities. the, um, the core. Okay. So here I left you with some questions last week. So we're going to go through the questions that I left you last week. Hopefully you took the opportunity, or you created some time to at least think about the answers to them. And then I'll go through some things that you can walk away with and focus on. All right, so here we go. Where you are right now, because we got, if we know we want to go somewhere, we want to bring the show on the road, we got to know where we are right now. Okay. Where you're sitting right now, what do you know? What do you know to be true? And as you know, I'm over 45, but not yet 50. You've seen, I should hope, you've seen some patterns in your life. You're like, oh, I know that I know that I know that I know this. I know this because I've lived it over and over and over again. Okay, so what is that you know? I know that I know that I know that succumbing to hustle culture is not good for you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. It's not good for those people that love you. It's not focused on the biggest good, the largest good. I don't know what you call it. It's a lot of hype. It's a lot of smoke. And ultimately, I believe that you're spinning your wheels most of the time. You're not getting the job done. And if you're putting yourself in a position where people look up to you, you're not doing it with integrity. I would not want to show somebody a version of myself in this hustle mode. Okay, that's what I know. That's what I'm all about. Okay, so what do you know that you know that you know? What lights you up and gets you out of bed in the morning? That was a good question that my friend Kelly, who's one of my coaches, put in my head. I mean, because you got to get up. You know, there's, what is that called? There are responsibilities that you have. So you got to get up. But like, what would, if you knew that you were going to be doing something all day that lights you up inside, what would that be? Is there a different way that you would wake up, a different energy, different excitement than how you normally wake up? Okay. Okay, the next one, I wonder if you can hear me swallow. I'm trying to keep my face real close to the microphone because of dog barking and etc. But you might be hearing me swallow. Cold coffee. Okay, so what lights you up? Okay, got that one. Journey, your journey story. Okay, so I believe that we have been on this journey in life and we've been all over the place and done all kinds of different things. And every bit of the journey is important because we can be relatable to somebody else that we are supposed to be supporting. And I'm not a big fan of the word help. I don't want to be seen as somebody that helps somebody because I really do believe that people are capable of doing things themselves. And so I don't want to be seen as a helper. I want to be seen as a supporter, an encourager. Sorry, I gotta bounce closer here. So your journeys, your journey. There's some defining moments in that, okay? Where you're like, stick this flag in the earth. This is a defining moment. That was a defining moment when that happened to me. Ouch, that was a defining moment. This is when the pain got so big, got so significant that I couldn't go on anymore. I knew I had to make a change. Okay, those are the defining moments. And it can be exciting things that have happened to you. It can be struggles that you've had, etc. Okay, so this one's simple. Your education. Are you um, have you had structured or education on something, or is it self-taught? What makes you unique? What makes you unique? Sometimes, depending on where we are in our um, knowledge of ourselves, sometimes people can get kind of tripped up with this one. Like there's nothing unique about them, or it's shameful to have any good things to say about yourself. When truly you are made in his likeness, but you are your own being. And there are things that make you unique. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Do you love reading but don't love talking? Do you love talking but not reading? Is your sense of humor like out there? Like, are you high energy with your humor, or are you more like subtle with it? There's even a way. I mean, everybody walks a different way. I mean, we all use the same motor skills to move around, but if my husband's far enough away from me, I can't tell exactly if that's him or not. I can tell it's him by the way he walks. Okay, there's just unique thing. I mean, our fingerprints, our DNA. So there's something unique about you. So we're going to use that uniqueness to be part of your brand. Okay. Anything amazing that you've achieved. And it's funny because you might not think it's amazing because you're just you and you did it, but most of the world has not. My husband was in the Navy for a long time, and it's always interesting for me to be watching a conversation between he and other people, because what he has done is really different than what a lot of people, other men he's talking to, have done. And he's just kind of like, well, it's no big deal. But everybody else thinks it's outstanding because they've never done it. And so, what are your amazing achievements? So, when I was going through this and I was thinking about who I am and what I bring, I went to my previous experience in sales and working with people, and the comparatively amazing things that I had done with what I was given, based compared to what other people had done based what they were given. And so that's kind of what I put there. Overcoming obstacles that could potentially have flattened me, overcoming those hard things, refusing to give up. It's unique. Okay, got that one. Do you specialize in anything? That's important to think about too. What are your hobbies? Okay, my hobbies. If I have nothing to do, what am I going to do? Okay, I love reading. I love sports. Like I love to watch sports. I love organizing. I love getting rid of things. I love going out to eat at good places. I like, what do I like to do? I like to be outside. I like to just be outside on a beautiful day. And I love trees. I love hills. I love flowers. I love gardens. Um, and I like to be in those places. So what are your hobbies? Because your hobbies not only says a lot about you as just a normal human being and you're trying to relate to other normal human beings, it also helps you to know what communities you can hang out in, where you have something in common with them. Uh, and a lot of times people are really good at their hobbies. What are your most important values? Now, for me, it's being able to be in a situation where I can keep my priorities in order, which are growing a daily relationship with God and being able to be there for my family and being able to spread the message that I feel like I've been given to the people that need to hear it. Um, it's being the best version of myself that I can possibly be and putting myself in situations where all of those things can be priority. So, what are your most important values? Because if we're not living and working by our values, there's a disconnect. Um, it's not in alignment, and you will not be able to reach what you're supposed to be if you don't feel like you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. There will always be like an anchor that you're pulling or an emergency brake that you're trying to drive with on. Okay, a good question is, where are you now in relationship to your business goals? Are you just getting started with a thought? I usually work with people that have been in business for themselves for a little while and maybe have tried things that don't work. Because that's where I was. I was just at a place of frustration, and I kind of had to reevaluate a bunch of things. And so, where you are now in relation to what your goals are, because you always got, if you're going somewhere, you got to know where you're starting from, right? Point A, that's where you are right now. And it's good to have a real clear view of where it is that you are. Sometimes we kind of hide from that. Okay. Where are you financially? Are you in debt? Are you in a good place? Are you at zero? Are you, where are you that where are you with your relationship with God? Where are you with your relationships with the family? Because all of that stuff plays into how you show up to serve people. And those are just some of the questions that I go through with people when we are going through this experience of clarification and excavation and um, kind of relaunching a business that works a lot more effectively and feels a lot better to your soul. Okay, I had said that first I'm going to take a break here because I wanted to. Last week, I talked about the person in literature that we try to be most like. Like I'm a big reader. You may be, you may not be. You might be a big TV watcher, or whatever. However, you get your entertainment that way. And I had said that I aspire to be like Dumbledore. He is the headmaster in the Harry Potter. That's gross. Harry Potter series, headmaster. And I'd said that I just admired so many things about him, how he always stayed calm and he had just a long-term perspective versus just a short-term perspective, and how when everything was falling down around him and the people were reacting in panic, and he was always calm. And I'm a big proponent of um, cooler minds always prevail. And so it's so funny because I never had heard a conversation. Of course, I don't spend a lot of time in Harry Potter circles, but I've never heard a conversation about him as a figure. And it was so funny because right when I had said that, like the next day, there was an article. I don't even remember where it was, but it was saying how he was in fact a coward, and that he was selfish, and that he um, did everything that he did do and didn't do for Harry Potter out of selfishness and being a coward. And it's so funny because I would have never had those thoughts about him. And so I brought it up just because the fact that it was just funny that that happened, but also about perspective and about how our perspectives and our experience and our strengths and everything really carve out and make clear what we're supposed to be doing and with whom we're supposed to be doing it. So evidently he came from a very different background than me. It's interesting that he could have one perspective, which could possibly be correct. And I could have another perspective, which could quite possibly be correct. And that I would even look up to somebody who he thinks is more selfish, etc. And so I wanted just to slip this reminder in here that just because you are running with this gift that you've been given to help other people, you are not going to make everybody happy. And that is actually good. I don't want you to do anything that's unkind. I don't think that you would. But you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, which is important because there's lots of different types of tea. And just because I love green jasmine tea and I cannot handle bergamot tea doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with bergamot tea and that there's nothing wrong with me. Okay, so I just wanted to encourage you that as you are digging down into these things about yourself and the niche that you're going to be filling, it is okay to not be for everybody. In fact, if you are able to please everybody, you will probably be miserable. So, encouragement, there's your encouragement right there. Okay, so we covered some things that you should not be focused on right now, which would include like brandings and websites and software and who I'm going to hire to help. Only not because those things are bad, but because at this point in your journey, you need it to be as simple and clear as possible. And I don't want you to be um, distracted by the things that you feel you need to have in order to go forward. Okay. Okay. So we're going to wrap up with some things that you can take away from this and move forward. And then I'll have a fun little thing to share with you before we wrap up. Okay, so I have, I've been working with a coach. Her name's Kelly Brock, and she's amazing. And you can get all of her information in the show notes. And she has introduced me to a number of lovely people whom she has found to be valuable to her journey. And of course, sometimes they're valuable to our journey, the people that she coaches, and sometimes they're not. But it's amazing that when you surround yourself with people that are interested in growth, that you meet some pretty amazing people. And so one of the people that she's introduced me to, just one of them that I love, is his name is Alex Kuhn, Kuhn. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I'll put his information in the show notes as well. Um, but I love how he loves to keep it simple, how he loves to work from um, you creating an online business from a space of peace that works around your priorities. Um, he is all about family. He's all about helping people. He is all about integrity and doing everything, even the sales process, in a high integrity way. I really do look up to him, and I look forward to working with him at some point. But I got I'm on his email list, which you can get on his email list very easily. Um, but I'll put like his website and stuff down there. These are he got sent an email out the other week, and I thought this was so clarifying, so simple. There's a lot that could be in our brains when it comes to building an online business. But these things really help to narrow down the most important things. And so the email had to do with building to $1 million in sales in a year. And he had like 25 steps listed out. And these were the first, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. Of course, here we go. Okay. He wants us to choose 5 problems that we're really good at solving. So when somebody comes to you with an issue, what is it? Do you see the same thing over and over and over? 5 problems that you're really good at solving. Then of those 5, you're going to pick the 3 easiest for you to help people solve or support them in them solving these issues. What would be the 3 easiest of the 5 that you could help? So for example, if you have a product that you're selling, your one of your 5 problems is one of the 5 problems you're good at solving is helping to you have a home goods product, and you know the frustration of or you've seen that a lot of people have the frustration of not being able to decorate their house very well. I kind of know what I like. I don't know how to bring it together. And some people have been given that gift, and it's beautiful. If I decorate it, it looks this way. And if I use somebody who has those talents, it will look like it's put together and it's finished. Okay. So you sell a product that will help somebody alleviate that pain. Okay. That's one of the 5 things that you're really good at solving. Then kind of go down a little bit. What would be the 3 easiest for you to help people solve? Okay. And that happens to be one of them. Okay. Next, take those 5 problems. What are the 2 that speak closest to your heart? The ones that are like your babies, the ones that you find to be most dear to you. Okay. And then what would be the easiest one of those 2 for you to make money at? Now, he suggests that you take that narrowed down approach. I think that I missed a step. Hooray, you're on live. You get to see this. Where'd it go? I don't know. There it is. All right. Of those 2, choose the one that's easiest to make money from, and then commit to solving that problem for a year. So that's where I'm going to leave you this week, is taking the questions that we asked about getting to know ourselves better and how we can take what we've been given and make it a marketable thing. And then marry that with the other information, the 5 problems you're good at solving and breaking it down. The one that's easiest to make money at. And you might not know that. You might not know even how to start that, which is fine. It's okay if you have that feeling. We can talk about that. And then commit to 1 year of just supporting people so that they can learn how to solve that problem for themselves. So wrapping up today's podcast, I wanted to tell you, I am creating this really cool experience because in working with my strengths and my experience and working with a coach, I've kind of cleared away the excess as to what I'm here to do. And I think a really part of the journey that I take people through is this beginning part. So I'm going to kind of explain what this experience looks like. And if you want more information on it, I'll put my contact information below. But um, it's it's in its infant stage. Um, so I'm excited to be sharing this with you as we're growing together. But my clarifying, I don't, that sounds like you're washing your hair. I don't know what you to call it. You might have some examples or some feedback. But we, the female business leader and I, will go on a deep dive where as to where you find your business and you find yourself in business today, and where we're starting, where we're landing. We're going to clear away a bunch of the excess to find out what might be holding you back. Because as I just went through, for example, what we just went through today and what I explained to you, you could see how that's one of my strengths. I'm able to clear away the excess. We're going to identify your strengths, and then I'm going to lead you through finding that ideal client and identifying, that's the right word, identifying that ideal client. And then you'll walk away from the time with an ideal action plan for your strengths and your goals. And then have 3 baby steps that you can put into place immediately. You can implement immediately to start moving down the road, because so much of not moving down the road fast enough has to do with fear and procrastination. And so these 3 baby steps will support you in moving down that road. And it's that momentum of just the push off that can start taking you down the road that maybe you have felt stuck at for such a long time. And as we're wrapping up here, I wanted just to say it's important as somebody who works for themselves to be a part of a community that gets you, as well as being a part of a community where somebody that's just a few steps ahead of you can lead you. I know sometimes, at least in my experience, looking in at a community where the leader is so far down the road can be intimidating, and it can be frustrating because I am nowhere near where they are. Okay. But when you find somebody that is paving the way for you and they're like right there, not too far away, and supporting you as you walk, as they're clearing the way right in front of you, and as you walk, that is an ideal situation to be a part of. And so I invite you not only to enjoy this podcast, but we have a great group on Facebook in the Gracefield, a Graceful group. And that's going to be in the show notes if you want to be a part of that. Also, you're welcome to look at our locals account, which you'll have show notes identified in there as well. But to be a part of the community, I invite you to hang out, get to know what's going on here. And if it makes a great match for you, we want to hang with you. We want to hang with you. So that is the wrap up of podcast number 5. I hope that it has been entertaining for you, that's for sure, and educational for you and giving you some ahas. Feel free to drop in there the show notes, wherever you comment on things, what you like best about our time together today, maybe some ahas that you never would have had that thought before, or some confirmations that I've had that thought before. It just feels so good when somebody can say, I'm on the right track. That's definitely, I've heard people call that God winks. So here's to you with my cold cup of coffee, and we will see you next week for podcast number 6. And I look forward to, in the meantime, hearing from you either on our group or if you decide to join locals at that space as well. And until then, bye bye for now.